Alright, everybody, welcome back to episode 35, the Fury of Arms, the after show for this DPS Warrior episode. We're talking with Archie of Pure and WarriorSarri, or just Sarri, of Ascendance. Let's bring this up. Hello, everybody. Hello.
Hey.
Yeah.
Good to see everyone again.
Perfect.
Hey there.
There we go.
That's my.
All right.
Is it any better?
Oh, yeah, that's a lot better.
That's like that times better.
Yeah. It's I hate Windows 8.
We had a bit of an issue with the main show. I guess I probably should have mentioned that because you sounded fine at first, but like after you started talking for a long time, that's when like the other mic that was using was just like, I'm gonna pick up everything. So I mean, so we'll see.
Building one was perfect.
It happens sometimes. It happens. So it definitely happens. But I wanted to go back to one thing before we get to actual questions because there was something I literally just had to skip over in the show itself. Where is it? So I want to talk about your tier 14, 15, and 16 tier sets because I know Anna loves her new tier 16 one and she really wants it to be baseline and wants it to be part of the rotation paladin rotation. So how have your three tiers come in mists? Is there anything that really stands out to you? Something that would really be good to have as like a baseline ability for warriors? And what would that be? Which tier sets in particular? Sorry, what do you think?
Well, a few of the tier sets we've already had, it's already implemented as baseline. Tier 14, we had a 5-minute cooldown on Recklessness, which was god awful.
Yeah.
You used it once per fight, but once we got our 4 set, it got reduced to 3 minutes. So you could line it up with Skull Banner, you could use it more than once per fight, etc., etc. It just felt better. And once tier 15 came close, we were starting to discuss if we were just to keep tier 14 4-piece forever, because it was just so convenient and so good. So Blizzard said, yeah, we'll just make that baseline. And yeah.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Then going into tier 15, we our new 4-piece made Skull Banner. Each time we use Skull Banner, we also got 35% extra crit. And if they keep everything as it is at the moment, that is basically how Recklessness is now, with Skull Banner and the Recklessness combined into one. So it was a really weird set, and I really hated it because it made you not able to use Skull Banner as a raid cooldown without nerfing yourself heavily, and it made it impossible to have more than one DPS warrior in the raid because you couldn't stack Skull Banners without your raid shouting at you.
Oh.
Yeah. And then going to tier 16, our 4-piece this time wasn't OP. Well, it is OP. It is the fact that the itemization on tier piece is awful. It basically gives us a 20% chance for each time you use Bloodthirst or Mold Strike to make us able to use Execute no matter what.
Yeah, okay.
It sounds very, very strong on paper, but then every single tier piece has haste and mastery, so it really isn't that good compared to just getting off pieces with loads and loads of crits.
Yeah.
Arms still can use the 4-piece, and if you want to sacrifice a goat to the RNG gods, the 4-piece can be good for Fury as well if you just want to RNG your way to rank 1. But the 4-piece isn't that much to talk about. The strong one this tier is the 2-piece.
You talked about that earlier. Yeah. What's the 2-piece?
Basically, the 2-piece. Each special attack we hit during a Colossus smash gives us 5 rage.
Oh.
It doesn't sound that good in Fury. Just 5 extra rage isn't that much. But when you start to add things together, as Fury, we use 2 raging blows. We use a SB. I always forget. Stormbolt, a Bloodthirst, and 4 heroic throws, heroic strikes, and a heroic leap. That's 9 specials. That's 45 extra rage for free, and that's nothing to shun at. It's basically increases our rage generation by 35%, 43%, somewhere around those lines. Yeah. Looking at arms, it's basically the same. We have 10 specials if everything align, so that's 40 rage for free. On top of that, as arms, you have randomly Colossus Smash resetting its cooldown, so you use it twice as often as Fury. So basically, as arms, with the 2-piece, you almost get 50% higher rage generation. It's just insanely strong, and that's after they nerfed it heavily. Back on the PTR, it had some wonky interaction with some things we couldn't control, like our meta procced it, our cloak procced it, the mastery for arms procced it, sweeping strikes procced it. Basically, you could get the from 0 rage to 100% rage in less than a second if things aligned as arms. And it made arms literally 1 million DPS single target for a short while. It was OP and fun as hell, but they nerfed that. So yeah, it's still one of the, if not the strongest 2-set in the game.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure how strong everyone else's 2-set is, but it's insanely strong. If arms is to work as it is at the moment, you need 2 sets to really do anything but single targets.
That's crazy though. Archie, what about the sets for you? What do you had to add for that?
Pretty similar to what Sarri already said. Most of our older set bonuses have already been rolled into what we're dealing with now, and the others were pretty minor. The 2-piece for tier 15 was your auto attacks have a chance to trigger Enrage, and with that proc a charge of Raging Blow, which was pretty good to have, but it's very random. And with Fury is a very, think about what you're going to do next kind of spec to play. So something random like that doesn't lend itself to the best effect. If you already have 2 charges of Raging Blow, it's wasted, completely wasted. If you're already enraged, it doesn't really do a whole lot. It helped then when we had a lower crit chance, but now not so much. The 2-piece is very strong, the current 2-piece, as Sarri was saying, with the extra rage during Colossus Smash is very strong. It makes it that much easier to maintain our Colossus Smash rotation, and we can go into a Colossus Smash phase with a lot less rage, meaning we have more rage to burn outside of it, and continue to keep up a higher damage throughout the fight. I have a feeling in Warlords they're going to rework rage generation, so whether or not we'll see something like that carry over is really up into the air. But I'm a fan of it right now. The 4-piece with the execute proc chance, it's fun. Unfortunately, it's not really strong enough to use for Fury right now. It really is a chance of when it procs. If it doesn't proc at a good time, it's kind of wasted. It's kind of useless to us because we really want to get it during that Colossus Smash. But it would be neat to have regardless. I think it would work a lot better if it was a baseline ability for arms than for Fury.
Well, that's interesting though, because Anna gets a proc that she loves that really works well with her rotation, but you guys get a proc that really doesn't. That's unfortunate. I guess it's just different classes have different ways to do it. Does the execute that you get off that proc though consume rage like the normal execute does, or is it just like it's just
no? It's free, but the problem is again just when it procs. It hits hard, but outside of Colossus Smash, we don't do that much damage. If you look at a graph of a Fury Warrior's damage, it really looks like an EKG spike. High, low, high, low, high, low, really? High, low, every 20 seconds. So whatever damage we do outside of that Colossus Smash, it's good, don't get me wrong. I mean, more damage is always better, but we really want to focus our heaviest hits inside that cooldown. And unfortunately, the buff you get from the proc doesn't last long enough to save it for a Colossus Smash. And even if you wanted to save it for the Colossus Smash, you always have the chance of, well, do I use it now or do I wait for it to proc? Maybe it'll proc again and it doesn't gain charges, so wasted extra proc. It's just one more thing to think about that we don't really need.
Interesting. Well, Anna
it's also the issue.
I did,
The issue that execute doesn't hit hard for Fury. Raging Blow almost hits as hard as execute. So as arms, it's really not that big of a deal. Execute is like a truck, and it also has the secondary benefit of making overpower free. So it's really, really good. But not for everything, but single target, you don't use execute anyhow. So.
Fair enough. Alrighty.
I mean, I do have a follow-up question to that, since you guys did mention Colossus Smash. We actually had 2 extremely similar questions from Theo Idiv asked, what are your opinions on Arms playing around Colossus Smash? And Remixed Gaming asked, what are your opinions on Fury playing around Colossus Smash? So let's hear it from you guys. How do you feel about Colossus Smash and this gameplay that it produces? Do you like it? Do you dislike it?
I like it. It's something to think about. You can't just use everything on cooldown. Basically, in ICC, what you did was you pressed everything as soon as it came off cooldown, and then you pressed it some more, and then you rolled your face around the keyboard a little more just to make sure that you pressed everything as soon as it came off. That was really boring, and you basically hurt your arm in a way that was irreparable. But nowadays, you have to put the pre-plan. Do you want to save the rage for a future Colossus Smash? Do I want to use it now? Do I risk capping my rage? Do I save a few overpower charges to make sure I can use 3 of them inside the CS? Etc. etc. It adds a lot of thought and a little bit randomness as Arms to the rotation, which is otherwise very static.
Okay. And Archie, same question. What about Colossus Smash for you, since you basically have to, like, that's all you think about, I would assume. It's a huge thing.
Pretty much, that's all we really focus on is our Colossus Smash. We still do a little bit of damage outside of it, but most of what we do outside of the Colossus Smash is what Requiel coined the term maintenance phase. That's where we're building up our rage.
No.
We're
Yeah,
only
okay.
using enough to keep from capping. You know, we don't want to dump it all as soon as we have it, like, you know, our older playstyles.
Okay.
Like Sarri, I like the ability because it makes you think. It makes you plan how you're going to do a damage. You know, is there a debuff phase coming up? Is there a buff that I'm going to get pretty soon? Do I need to AoE soon? So maybe I want to push that back. You know, anything that makes you think makes you a better player, I think. It does have its drawbacks. For example, Sarri brought up Lei Shin. Lei Shin has a lot of movement. Not only does he turn around and parry you all the time, but he also runs across the room, you know, 8 times during the fight. And, you know, if you're not watching those timers, you just hit CS and nope, there he goes. And of course he moves too fast for you to keep up. So, again, it makes you think about what you want to do. Some people have hated on it. They think that Fury specifically should be that raging berserker who just kind of button spams without a care and everything, but by and large, I'm a fan of Colossus Smash because you can still go from that kind of calm, hitting your buttons as you need to that spam really fast, you know, to get all the damage you can during that debuff.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, the only thing I think that this harkens back to, honestly, which was removed from the game, was Hunger for Blood for rogues. Or the old Inquisition for paladins. Like, it's the same damn thing, basically. Where it was like that small little maintenance buff you have to keep paying attention to, and if you don't keep it up, you don't do as much damage. So, like, it's cool when you think about it from, like, a skill capping, like, you know, ceiling or whatever floor you want to look at here. But then, honestly, after you raid so long, it just becomes really obnoxious. Like, it feels like, do you even need that in your gameplay to make it challenging? Like, do you... Ugh. I have nothing like that, so I don't know what you guys feel. Like, Enhanced doesn't have that. We have, like, 18 cooldowns now, but...
The entire Warrior gameplay is based around Colossus Smash. Whether you like it or not, Colossus Smash is Warrior. It's been for the last 2 expansions.
Yeah.
It's really every single thought you use, single skill you use, is based around the fact that you will soon have Colossus Smash up, or you have Colossus Smash up. How do you get the most benefit out of that 6-second debuff on the target?
Yeah.
I think it is the one thing that really separates warriors from other melee classes, though. A lot of melee classes are very spammy, hit what you can, when you can. You know, paladins, you know, get holy power, spend the holy power. You know, there's of course some times where you're going to think about it. Death Knights revolves around their runes, but for the most part, it's when you can hit things, you're going to hit them.
Yeah.
Rogues and monks, of course, use their combo points and chi a little bit differently, but warriors, really, they have to think about how to use this one specific ability that is crucial to everything else they do. So it's definitely got its drawbacks, but it's got its advantages as well.
Fair enough. You have any other questions that came in, Anna? I had one that came in.
I do.
Yeah. Okay. Go for it.
I had a question from somebody. This might be a very fast answer, but Just Plain Creepy asks, can you still get Vengeance in defensive stance? And what are your thoughts on how it works? Can you? Is this a DPS warrior question?
No. You can only get Vengeance if you're a tank spec.
Okay, so you can't soak it up when you're in defensive stance. Well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
It is a spec-specific passive ability that lets you gain Vengeance, and then only when you're in defensive stance for prot.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is probably a good thing, because otherwise we'd just be doing ridiculous crap during the raid to get as much Vengeance as we could.
The flip
silly.
side to that, we went over in the main show that if they missed the part of it, is that you use the Berserker stance to gain like infinitesimal amounts of rage, which is sort of akin to a prot warrior standing in all the poopy, or or whatever, any tank really at this point. Monks standing in the huge pie slices that kill you in Garrosh, that kind of crap, that kind of stuff. So, but that's not the same. Yeah. Okay.
Well, that's good. I mean, it's a simple yes or no question. So, but hey, I had it as well because I wasn't sure. Mm-hmm. So here's another question from Warisa. He says, IV versus ER. Why do most Furies gravitate towards IV when you're already swimming in Rage, and ER is stronger and off the GCD?
Well, IV refers to impending victory, and ER is enraged regeneration. They are both on our second talent tier,
level 30.
Is level 30, the survivability tier, which is also shared with second wind. That's all about how we get health back as warriors. Now, all three really play their own role. Second wind is very good in PvP, where you're going to be spending a significant amount of time at lower health. You can regen quite a bit of health, and it works very well there. In raids, it's kind of hit or miss. I won't say it doesn't have its uses. One of the best things is that it's completely passive. You don't have to control it. As for IV versus ER, Enrage Regeneration is a on-demand heal, which is very good to have when you need it.
Yeah.
Impending Victory saw a lot of use, especially during Tier 15, to fill in GCDs. That's its main drawback, is that you have to use it. And now we're swimming in so much rage, and we have so much crit that we can use Raging Blow often, that it really doesn't have a place to use anymore. I know a lot of people still use it because it is damage. Impending Victory does a very small amount of damage, but it's pretty infinitesimal. It's not really worth, in my opinion, it's not worth the thought it takes to use it, when you can just have one good heal that you use when you need it. Even better, Enrage Regeneration. It's better to use when you're enraged. It heals you more, but you don't have to be anywhere near anything else to hit it. If I go up on the Siegecrafter belt and I take fire damage, I get that dot on me, I can use ER to keep myself alive. With Impending Victory, I'd have to hit something to get that heal. So, me personally, I like Enrage Regeneration, but it's all up to you.
Fair enough.
And I'm lazy, so I just take second wind.
There's that answer. Yes. Okay. Perfect. Not that's an answer. Had a question to come in on the emails, which was from Rage on Argent Dawn. The question was, with Readiness becoming an actual stat in Warlords of Draenor, are there any abilities you feel need to be affected by it?
Just one, in my opinion. Stormbolt, Stormbolt, Stormbolt.
Yeah, Stormbolt.
Right now it is affected by the CDR trinket, which is a major part of a rotation. Without CDR, it's on a 30-second cooldown. Our Colossus Smash is on a 20-second cooldown. So you're at best only going to be able to do one inside CS, one outside of CS. With a good level CDR trinket, you can use Stormbolt inside every single Colossus Smash, which just really makes our rotation much more manageable, much more fun and intuitive. They are changing, from what I've heard, Readiness a little bit. It's going to affect some different, maybe less abilities than the current 6 or so it does.
Whatever. Yeah.
But it really, really, really needs to affect that talent for us to maintain the rotation we've had. Other abilities are good too. Recklessness, of course. We want it to affect recklessness, like all major classes get their cooldown or major cooldowns reduced. Maybe some other things that currently affects their defensives, but Stormbolt is the number one.
Yeah, it seems though like if they're gonna make it affect one talent, though, they'd have to make it affect many of them, because then basically any talent that gets reduced cooldown by Readiness, they would basically become that one, maybe better than the other ones.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
well, and I wouldn't complain. It's the same as Bladestorm, so
yeah.
Dragon Roar, so it's good or better. It's really. I wouldn't complain if they reduce it more than one thing.
Well, yeah, no. We'll have to see. I'm sure there'll be some weird comprehensive list, and I'm sure Readiness might be actually in like your spell book. You'll see what it affects or something. You know, it can't just be like, what does it do? Because that's the one thing I think the drawback was with the trinkets, like the Assurance of Consequence and whatnot. Like, it didn't tell you what it reduced unless you like looked it up. Like on the tooltip, I wish it told you what it reduced, which would have been nice. But so maybe that'll come in the future. Yeah.
Yep. Like the CDR trinket wouldn't even have. The CDR trinket is worthless as for Fury unless it would have affected Stormbolt. It was literally our worst trinket this tier.
Wow.
I think Curse of Hubris even was better. The Garrosh tank one. Before we figured out that Stormbolt was good.
Huh.
Like it affects defensive and recklessness.
Wow.
Bladestorm got some uses on some fights, but and as arms, it's still up in the air if you want CGR or the Claxy trinket.
Okay.
It's because we don't use Stormbolts. It's yeah.
What about anything else come in? Anna, any other questions?
Well, there's that one about the item squish that I love. Affecting DPS. How do you think the item squish will affect your DPS since Fury is crit dependent? I'll take that one. The item squish.
Okay.
The item squish will not affect things in percentages. It just makes all the numbers smaller. It doesn't make you have any less crit or any more crit than you would have in the equivalent tier today, unless Blizzard decides to change the amount of crit that you get in the first tier. It is just a percentage thing. It just makes all the numbers smaller across the board. So it doesn't make you have any less crit or any more crit.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yep. As long as I'm topping meters, I don't care if I'm doing 1 million DPS or 1 DPS.
Exactly. Just about how much DPS everybody else does and what it takes to the number one.
I played the little preview at BlizzCon too, and I can agree, you will not really notice a difference unless you're looking at those numbers. You're
I was
not
looking
going
at
to
those
notice
numbers. I took like 3 Instagram videos of it because I was so excited. I was like, oh my god, these numbers are, like, you can take them in as they're moving by you. They're so much easier to deal with. It was very pleasant.
The range of the numbers we're getting is so much more tactile, because right now it's like, 643,952 crit, alright, whatever the hell that means. So yeah, no, it's a better thing. Even though the one thing they came out with recently was that we're going to actually have more HP than they originally intended. So the damage range is going to stay, but we're all going to have more HP than they originally wanted. They wanted like late BC, early Wrath. Now it's going to be like late Wrath HP, but with the damage range is being sort of in that late TBC, early Wrath. So I don't know. We'll
Hey, chat's calling me a liar here, so we got to sort this out. All right. Sorry. So let's talk about your nose injury, because people in chat are saying that I'm pulling and that it was not a soccer injury. And I made the joke several times that you go outside and actually do things with people in a sporty manner, unlike the rest of us WoW nerds. So where is your nose injury from? Tell everybody.
I will say, as I said at the start, don't partake in an activity that may or may not mush your face prior to your show.
You got in it with a soccer ball and the face lost.
He's actually a masked vigilante.
Oops.
He goes out and fights crime.
That's the question.
What do you say?
Did your team win? Because weren't you playing football?
Well, I'm a goalie, and the point is to not let the other team score.
Right.
And seeing as it hit my nose.
Right. So there you go. The proof is in the pudding, right there.
There it is.
So there you go, chat. I am not joking with you.
Yeah,
it was absolutely a football injury, and it was not anything else that anybody else is saying.
Yeah.
So.
People, I don't know why. I mean, I introed it. People that come in and out of the show didn't hear me at the beginning of the episode, but when we were setting everything up, what?
I may or may not be a model, and I may or may not have gotten a nose job and said it is a soccer accident to make it look better.
Wait a
Drama, conspiracy.
Whoa, now. I guess chat's gonna have to figure out who they believe more.
Archie did say that Sarri was the pretty boy of their warrior conglomerate. So I mean, hey, is that no comment? No comment. Well, I was always asking, because I don't ever know what guests look like on the show before they come on, so I'm like, well, warriors, you guys gotta have, like, lumberjack beards or something. And he was like, neither of us do. And I was like, what? Because Brutal has a huge beard. Other warriors I know, they got beards, they got this with manly eyebrows, because that's what Scott has. But, I mean, come on now. But, yeah,
well, Readiness is a scalable level. You can be a 5 and be prettier than a 2.
Oh,
so
I like it. All right, so moving right along to the warrior questions. Here's one more. Toolbox Rocks asks something about the arms rotation. Now, we talked a little bit earlier in the show about how it's kind of a bummer that there's not that huge. There are ways for you to optimize, but there's really not that big of a difference between doing the arms rotation completely wrong and completely right. What do you think Blizzard needs to do to make arms show more damage for skill-based decision-making play between overpower and slam, or in other ways? How would you change it?
Well, first of all, I would in some way make overpower and slam not do the same thing.
Okay.
Basically the same button, but cost different amounts of rage, and they have
that
different
is kind
levels.
of a problem. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
With that said, for everything but single target, there's a lot of decision making for arms. Like as we said earlier, the slam cleave, for instance, you have to choose and really look at the fight. Is the secondary target within 2 yards of the main target, so I can benefit from the slam cleave? If yes, should I use slam to get a cleave, or should I use the more rage efficient overpower to get a little more? If it's outside, should I use the overpower instead to get the full benefit of the rage efficiency? It's a lot of things you can use on multiple targets fights. Single targets is really smash your face against the keyboard, and yeah, the only thing I said they can fix is by making overpower and slam be not the same button with 2 different icons. I'm not gonna say anything, as I'm sure that Blizzard has some way to fix arms. They've fixed arms every single tier since ICC. Literally, they've changed the core gameplay of arms every single tier since ICC. Like, the difference, arms is not the same spec as it was back in tier 14. Back in tier 14, it was overpowered for all other different reasons, like heroic strike one-shotting people and such.
Yeah. With that old soaking system it had, with like sucks up all your extra rage and stuff. Yeah, that was a little silly.
It was overpowered and a lot of fun.
But what about you, Archie? On the same question, what do you think? Do you have any suggestions, being a Fury Warrior though, that arms could benefit from, or is that really like the biggest thing you have right now is the slam overpower issue? Oh, you're muted, sir.
Sorry, I was typing a response in the chat there.
Yeah.
Sorry did pretty much hit it on the head there. That's probably the biggest thing they could do. The mastery is another big one. Fixing their mastery, because right now it's just an extra attack, an extra white swing, and there's actually some really game-breaking things you can do with that, which I know Sarri would hate me if I said, and he didn't get a chance to say, so I'll kick it back to him in a second. But one of the other things that I really, really hate about arms right now is the slam cleave has a 2-yard range. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that
what
seems
the heck
silly.
is that? If you're going to AoE, the targets are almost never going to be completely stacked up like that. The chances of one of them moving away or something stupid happening is so large, and every other AoE class in the game has a much broader range. I think the smallest range is like 5 or 6 yards or might even be 8 for Howling Blast. and it's too
Howling
punishing.
Blast does not have a small range.
No, it doesn't. 'Cause it's a cat.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
It seems
Hammer
to go
of the
across.
Righteous had a small one before when it cleaved off of the target that you hit, but not anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, the
Yeah,
problem
well,
with that is not necessarily that it takes, like, you can hear probably some people argue, like, oh, well, it takes more skill to position yourself so that you hit things with a 2-yard range. But that's not the way it works, because in Raid, you're constrained by how your tank positions things.
Sure.
Or how multiple tanks position things. If it's something like the Wind Rider coming in on Garrosh, and at least for my Raid, he's always, like, standing, like, way over there.
Yeah.
And then he kind of inches his way over between the casts, and I'm like, can you not put him right next to the boss? But it's out of your control a lot of the time when you're a raider in the raid, how close things are and whether they're in cleave range. So I don't accept the argument that a smaller cleave range makes you take more skill with positioning, because I've seen that before, and I'm just like, no, that's not something that's in the control of the raider. So it's very irritating when you can't take advantage of that.
Well, there is a skill factor.
There is a skill factor, but it's not always within. It's much more enjoyable of a skill factor when you have control over where things are.
Who says you don't have control? Mocking Banner?
Okay. Maybe you guys have control. I suppose you could fix that problem, although
man.
don't they go for you afterwards?
I don't even know what. But the issue. How does
What Mocking
2
Banner
yards?
does is you place a banner and you get a buff for 45 seconds. And during that buff's duration, all targets within 15 yards of the banner get stunted to you. So what I may or may not do at some points is, for instance, Galacrest, is place Mocking Banner when I feel the tanks is doing a bad job at stacking them, and let the ads run to me. I pop Die by the Sword and stand there and tank them for a little while. And as soon as Die by the Sword is about to run out, I cancel Aura, the Mocking Banner buff, and within 3 seconds of that, all the ads will once again go on the main threat target. Because the Mocking Banner is not a taunt, it's a focus.
Yeah,
So,
it doesn't give aggro. It's just a yeah. It's a
just one more thing
target
to add. I didn't say this. Don't ever try this.
Uh-oh.
It's win or die very hard kind of situation.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Like I said before, there's a reason why I die on every single fight, on every single try, every single week. Yeah, I may go overboard at some point.
No, it's fine. Guys, I'm looking at the outside in. I didn't know Slam did that, but like a 2-yard AoE is less than half of a melee range to most bosses. So like,
Oh yeah, the single AoE that has the AoE that has the smallest range beside the Slam Cleave is the Raging Blow Cleave. With,
so it's both of these things.
well,
Wow.
our normal Cleave is also quite small, but that's a skill that no one has on their skill bar.
Yeah.
But as Archie mentioned earlier, there's some gameplay for arms if you really want to have to think about stuff on
Yeah.
AoE by going 100% mastery and keeping sweeping strikes up for 100% of the time. But basically, what our mastery is it's a chance to proc a strike of opportunity, as it's called, that hits for 55% of our damage, a normal belly swing, and then our sweeping strikes cleaves that to a secondary target, and then the sweeping strike on that secondary target has a chance to proc the mastery again. So if you have 100% mastery, you have a mastery proc on the main target, it's proc sweeping strikes, that sweeping strikes procs the mastery on the secondary target, and that mastery again procs sweeping strikes, and it procs on the main target, and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and as long as you keep sweeping strikes up 100%, it just keeps bouncing. And if the fight is long enough, you literally do gazillions of damage. It may take a few days for that to happen. In theory,
A few days. Yeah.
in theory, you could do as you may or may not have seen Prot Paladins could do in vanilla, one-shotting bosses, if you just had the time to set it up. I would assume most people wouldn't have the time to set it up though, and the people willing to help you set it up. But it's a little fun thing you could do as arms if you really want to try something different. Like on protectors, that's a really good fight to try it out. I haven't done it yet because I just thought of it or been asked to. But it's as there's not that much other things you can do as arms. It's one small fun thing to try if you're bored and your raid lets you. And if you want to try it, don't forget to go back to a crit build after that, because that build is god awful for single target.
Whoops, yeah. Oh, well, fair enough. Well, alrighty. I think that's about it. Archie, unless you have anything else to add that came up? No?
No, that's about it for arms there.
Yeah? Well, fair enough then. Well, I think it's button round number 2. You guys were awesome today. A whole bunch of stuff in chat. I know Anna copied a bunch of questions, and that goes with every show.
We actually addressed a lot of them as the show went on. So
sure, yeah, exactly.
I only had a few in the end.
Oh yeah, people don't know the show has like a main purpose we want to get to before we do the after show, which is all about just random talking and Q&A and stuff like that. So, again, if you have questions for DPS Death Knights, send them in now. Don't wait. You can send them to us at the link down below. It's right down below at the Ask a Boss part of our website. But again, it's DPS DKs next week. We have Arv is going to be here, and then I still got to lock in one more guest just because of scheduling and timing and stuff like that. It's sometimes hard to lock in classes, but that's the next episode. But again, around the corner we had here, over the pond, recovering from his, we don't know if it's a football, soccer, or model injury. We have Sarri from Ascendance at ascendance-guild.eu. Thank you again, sir. It was a pleasure.
Oh, well, the pleasure was mine.
Very awesome.
It was fun to be here.
Well, I hope so. We also had Archie from Pure. You can go follow him on the Twitters at, how is it pronounced again, sir? Just so everyone knows.
Archimtiros.
There you go.
Archimtiros. There you go, everybody.
Yes. What does your guild call you again?
All sorts of things. Archimtiros or Archimtiros or...
Yeah, Archimtiros. Yes, perfect.
Yeah, they just make things up as they come.
That's fine. Totally okay. And our awesome
Let me link these things. Oh, hey guys.
Oh, hi. Twitter at
your
AnnaFilm.
Awesome, your awesome co-host, Anna, with 50% less Paladin references this week.
Thankfully.
Is that really what it was?
Thankfully. Oh. Well, it's a warrior episode, and warriors are like the proto-paladin. So I had to let our forebears tell everybody about their class, and then we'll be back to paladin references next week.
Next week. Yeah, we'll find some way, of course. Because technically, DKs are just dead paladins, right?
Oh no, I'm not giving the DKs any respect. Sorry.
Oh, damn.
They lost that in tier 14. Let's be honest.
Well, okay then, and then
I love our DK brethren. I'm just kidding.
You see me, and you can find all my stuff over at twitch.tv/BayTLM. That's where you'll find me outside of the show and the stream and whatnot. But again, thank you guys very much for watching. 1 p.m. PDT, 4 EDT, and 10 now p.m. CET, because you guys in Europe just finally got your daily savings time figured out. But we'll see you guys next week for DPS DKs. Have a good reset. Have fun at work. Trust in the coin. And until later, have a good one. Bye. 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 Bye.
Bye.